Hey guys, I'm going to take just a little break here from the timeline series, just for today, because I want to touch on something that is rather disturbing in the case discussion on the case of Christopher Watts. One after another, the avocados are posting videos accusing Cindy Watts of being a narcissist. Also accusing Christopher Watts of being a narcissist. And I just have to laugh because over and over again, the people who are posting those ridiculous videos appear to be narcissists. It's kind of cute in a way, but it really isn't funny because what they're doing is they're taking part in an organized hate campaign against innocent people. And in my opinion, their narcissism is actually overriding any good sense, if they have any good sense. So what I'd like to do is, first of all, take a look at, well, let's do this. Let's just Google the question, what is a narcissist? And see what pops up. Okay. What is a narcissist? Okay, the first thing that pops up is, quote, asking the question, what is a narcissist? Quote, a person who has an excessive interest in or admiration of themselves. Okay, so let me get this straight. One of the subjects of the case of Christopher Watts, we're told, was actually suffering from bipolar, Munchausen by proxy, and narcissistic personality disorder. We're also told that when Christopher Watts was examined that he didn't have any sort of mental illness or mental condition or mental issue going on. And yet here we are 2 years later after the case first hit the news, and one video after another simply, very simply has it wrong. The people who are harassing and attacking and abusing those of us who they've been attacking for over 2 years straight, including Cindy Watts, are actually saying that their go-to expert is a clinical psychologist. But she isn't. The highest degree that she completed is a bachelor's degree, and she calls herself a coach. Yet the attackers are running around saying that she's a clinical psychologist, and then they're using her videos as the go-to. You know, that's their evidence, that's their proof in their accusations against Christopher Watts being a narcissist and Cindy Watts being a narcissist. What I'd like you to do is just kind of step back from the fluff and use some common sense. Let's look at that definition again. Or the answer to the question, what is a narcissist? Quote, a person who has an excessive interest in or admiration of themselves. Did you see Christopher Watts looking at his phone, checking out his reflection? Did you see him fixing his hair on a daily basis? Did you see him talking about his appearance on a daily basis? Did you ever hear him saying, oh, my hair's a mess today, in order to generate compliments from the handful of people who were watching? Of course not, because he isn't a narcissist. See what I'm saying? I mean, come on. It seems obvious to me. It also seems obvious to me that the people who have been attacking Cindy Watts from day one, and those of us in the true crime community too, who they've been attacking since day one, that they appear to be hurling insults and making accusations about us that are actually appearing more and more to be true for Christopher Watts' wife. So I find that to be an interesting dynamic that's been happening for over 2 years straight. So let's see. Well, let's do this. Well, I want to say something first, though. With all the videos that they're plastering all over social media to claim that Christopher Watts and his mother are both narcissists, nobody's really talking about the causes of narcissism, right? So let's take a look. Let's see, how do I get there? Hold on. Let's take a look at the Mayo Clinic website, okay? The Mayo Clinic website. And let's take a look down at the causes. This is what it says. It's not known what causes narcissistic personality disorder. As with personality development and with other mental health disorders, the cause of narcissistic personality disorder is likely complex. Narcissistic personality disorder may be linked to environment, genetics, and neurobiology. There are risk factors that the Mayo Clinic talks about. It says, narcissistic personality disorder affects more males than females, and it often begins in the teens or early adulthood. Keep in mind that although some children may show traits of narcissism, this may simply be typical of their age and doesn't mean they'll go on to develop narcissistic personality disorder. Although the cause of narcissistic personality disorder isn't known, some researchers think that in biologically vulnerable children, that would mean like if one of your parents suffered from mental illness. In biologically vulnerable children, parenting styles, that would be like the hypercritical parent. And then it says that are overprotective or neglectful may have an impact. Genetics and neurobiology also may play a role in development of narcissistic personality disorder. So let's see here. I want to look for the signs or the symptoms. Here we go. Symptoms from the Mayo Clinic website. Signs and symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder and the severity of symptoms vary. People with the disorder can have an exaggerated sense of self-importance. Did you guys ever pick up on the fact that Christopher Watts' wife would often refer to her live chats as her going on TV? Did you ever get the feeling she was trying to be like a Rachel Ray in the kitchen? I kind of picked up on that. Like, especially that one video where she was calling her book of recipes the directions. It seemed like she was trying to put on like a little kitchen show, you know? Well, she ignored her daughter, who supposedly had some sort of pneumonia going on and was standing there shivering, saying she was cold and hungry. Let's see, next. Have a sense of entitlement and require constant, excessive admiration. Bingo! Next, expect to be recognized as superior even without achievements that warrant it. Oh my goodness, like hello. Next, exaggerate achievements and talents. You think? She's a retired nurse. Yeah, she was the co-owner. It was her company. Yeah, that MLM was her company. She was an employee of a billion-dollar company. Yeah, she was successful. Next, be preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. Oh boy. That one's loaded with a bunch of truth. Next, believe they are superior and can only associate with equally special people. Oh my gosh. Next, monopolize conversations and belittle or look down on people they perceive as inferior. Have you guys watched the video yet with the life-size checkerboard? If you haven't, try to find it and watch it if it's still online, where she's insulting her husband and laughing at him. And he just stood there and took it. Next, expect special favors and unquestioning compliance with their expectations. Next, take advantage of others to get what they want. Next, have an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. Oh, you want a laptop? Well, what do we do when you want something? We put it on your vision board. When poor little Bella was hungry. Next, be envious of others and believe others envy them. Next, behave in an arrogant or haughty manner, coming across as conceited, boastful, and pretentious. There was one video where she actually dissed Christopher Watts about not being able to go on one of her trips because he didn't qualify yet, or he wasn't there yet, or he had to work, he had to work. As if he was somehow beneath her, when in fact the only way she could go on any of those trips was because he worked. Next, insist on having the best of everything, for instance, the best car or office. Can we say Lexus? At the same time, people with narcissistic personality disorder have trouble handling anything they perceive as criticism. And they can become impatient or angry when they don't receive special treatment. They can have significant interpersonal problems and easily feel slighted. They can react with rage or contempt and try to belittle the other person to make themselves appear superior. They can have difficulty regulating emotions and behavior. Nut meltdown. They can experience major problems dealing with stress and adapting to change. I think it's interesting that the only 2 times she had trouble with her mother-in-law was when she wasn't in her own comfort zone, at her own home out in Colorado, away from everybody, right? It was when she had returned to North Carolina that it hit the fan. I think that's interesting. I think that's an important one. Along with the one right before it, have difficulty regulating emotions and behavior. Experience major problems dealing with stress and adapting to change. Next, they can feel depressed and moody because they fall short of perfection. Next, they have secret feelings of insecurity, shame, vulnerability, and humiliation. Did you know that when Christopher Watts' wife demanded to go along with him and his family and little Bella to the zoo, when she had just returned home with baby Cece, of course, Christopher Watts had to push her in a wheelchair all day long. I'm not sure why, because obviously if she felt good enough to go to the zoo, then I don't get the whole wheelchair routine. But when she got home, she saw on her phone that people were saying, "What are you doing? Why are you taking a newborn to the zoo?" And she was devastated, absolutely devastated. And she immediately had to call her mother and talk about how devastated she felt by the people who had made negative comments about her decision to take a newborn to the zoo. She deleted those comments quick. She had signs of anger. She had signs of sadness. She had tears and also attitude. And like I said, she called her mom and spent time complaining about the people who had posted their honest opinion that taking a newborn to the zoo didn't make sense. Now, granted, she had just had a baby, so she was probably, exhausted and everything. But again, that takes us back to the stress, the issue of stress. That a person with a narcissistic personality disorder may have more difficulty regulating their emotions under times of stress. Now let's fast forward to 2018. Talk about stress. in my opinion, she wasn't able to stay home that summer. Because I do believe what people are telling me who claim to know that she was not allowed to be alone with the children. I believe it is reasonable to believe that that was the case. I think she had to go to her mother's house. I don't think it was a choice. Because I think by then she knew damn well she didn't have any money left. And that daycare center where the kids attended full time, it costs money. So I think she felt like she had to go and stay with her mother for 5 weeks straight until her husband joined her the 6th week. I also think that the reason he joined her was because she wasn't able to fly alone with the children, or to be alone with the children, like I said before. And I also think that by the time she went there for the summer, that marriage was already over. I think that marriage was already over for at least 3 to 4 months, and probably even longer than that. I think that marriage was over when she stopped making the house payments and didn't make the house payments for 3 months straight, back in December of 2017. I think the marriage was over long before Christopher Watts started dating a coworker. Well, and she said herself the marriage was over when she first arrived in North Carolina and she went to get her hair done. She told the young hairstylist that she was getting divorced and she was looking forward to being single again. But I think after a few weeks, I think she started changing her mind about being single again. And I think after a few weeks, I think that family matter that was coming up, the court hearing for the family matter on August 24th of 2018, I think that was feeling to her like it was going to get a little bit too close for comfort, right? At the beginning of the 5 weeks, well, that was still way off on the horizon, along with the HOA dues. They were getting sued for unpaid HOA dues too. Don't rush right down and pay them. No, heavens no, just ignore it and go on vacation, right? Well, again, I don't think it was a vacation. I think after a few weeks, she changed her mind. I think after a few weeks, she decided she wanted to try to figure out a way to convince her husband to keep putting up with her shit. And I don't think she knew how to pull that off. When you think about it, the first time she snagged him, she was younger, she was, I don't know, she wasn't pregnant at the time, right? As far as we know. So she had energy. She was in tune to listening to the words he spoke so she would know exactly what to say, right? That's the first time she snagged him. Well, now, in the summer of 2018, if she decided that she wanted to snag him again, well, she was pregnant. She was tired. She was broke. It seems like she didn't like spending time with her own children. If you listen to the way she yelled at her mother-in-law to get back to the house when her mother-in-law went to get her own hair done, she called her up and she yelled at her and told her she had to hurry up and get back to the house because she couldn't be alone with the kids. She said, "Who's going to take care of the kids?" Which, that makes no sense. Those were her kids, right? But I think that there were a lot of other people taking care of the kids, namely Christopher Watts, for the most part. She complained in one of her text messages in the summer of 2018 that Christopher Watts was living the bachelor life while she was stuck there, with the kids, right? I think she changed her mind. And I think the stress was more than she could handle. Because I think she knew that the gig was up.